can bigger, bolder, faster. Boom, going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum. I'm going to the maximum.
Let us welcome Mr. Sergej Kunz. And to moderate the session, let us welcome Mr. Joel Flynn from Forecast News.
Welcome everybody, how are we doing? I think we are still waiting for Justin to get up via Zoom at the moment, so we've got a few minutes before that happens, I think. Is that right? Yeah,
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
We'll get Justin up just as soon as we can, but welcome to Sergej and welcome to all of you to Philippines Blockchain Week and to what is possibly one of the most interesting questions, I think, for not just this week's event, but probably for the industry in general, I think it's fair to say, and no doubt many of you will have guessed where Sergej sits on that side of the debate, so we'll try and get to that in just a second. The question of centralized versus decentralized is something that I think has been there from the beginning, and it looks very much now to be the future. I would like to start with a poll. As I said, Justin's going to join us in a few moments, but just to get an idea from your perspective, who here still has faith in centralized exchanges? If we could see a raise of hands for anybody that still does have, there's one there. Otherwise, it looks like a sea of seated people keeping their hands down. So that presumably gives people like you some sort of faith in where things are headed. So while we wait for Justin, let's just get an idea about, Sergej, what your reaction was to FTX. I know that your Twitter account has been very vocal. I won't ask whether that was specifically you tweeting or someone tweeting on your behalf, but how surprised were you to see things come out in the way they did, and how concerned are you about all of it?
Yep. Hi, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank you guys that you invited us and me personally. It's really a pleasure to be here also in this country. It's my first time. I would like to introduce myself first, maybe. A lot of people, I guess, they see me first time. I'm a co-founder of 1inch Network. 1inch Network is the best DeFi, decentralized exchange and different liquidity source aggregator on the market. We overtook Uniswap previously on the volumes. Working since 2019, started on a hackathon. This project actually the idea of this project came just on a hackathon. And we have built over 2 sleepless nights and continued to work on that. Nowadays, we have 130 people around the globe working on this project. Yeah, just to my person, software engineer, software architect with some business experience, built my first aggregator in 2011 for telecommunication. So yeah, and once again, thank you very much for inviting. Regarding your question, I was really surprised. So Alameda, Sam, was actually an investor of 1inch at the beginning, like the first backer. And I had two conversations with him, and I had the kind of the imagine that he's very smart, yeah. And I was really surprised with FTX that they just like somehow managed to lose like $8-9 billion. This is like a kind of huge number of money, and the thing is, I guess it's bad for the people who lost the money, for the companies who are now also going bankrupt very soon. I read yesterday one more. BlockFi, I guess,
BlockFi announced overnight. We know that Bitfront has had to suspend its chain wallet focuses online. AAX in Hong Kong has said that it's no longer able to service withdrawals as well. The contagion very much looks to be spreading. I think what we're all keen to hear from you is, as someone who is an advocate for DeFi, who believes so staunchly in it, why do you think we're all surprised to see these sorts of problems come from a centralized exchange like that?
The thing is, a lot of people trust other people, yeah, and this is the problem, yeah. It was it was previously the same with empty gox as well. They were hacked because they did not enough for the security. And there, like this Canadian exchange, you know, like where the founder died, and they found out that they actually all the time was stealing the money from the people who are depositing on the exchange. And the problem are the people who are sometimes too hungry, yeah, to getting profits. Yeah.
Too greedy.
Too greedy, yeah. And when we remove people, yeah, and let program execute transactions, creating leverage position, closing positions, and it's implemented in decentralized manner, we can achieve the next evolution of financial system from our point of view.
So the problem, to be clear then, is the people, it's not the technology, is essentially what you're saying, right?
Yes, because you can audit the code, but you cannot see in the brain of the person what they think right now and what they plan actually, yeah?
From a DeFi perspective though, is it possible to completely remove trust? I mean, trust at the core of this is the issue, and certainly that's something I know that you've said. But in terms of how you bring that out, how you take it out of the whole equation, is it possible?
So you can, of course, you can have a program which works, yeah, and one day maybe one hacker come and see a vulnerability and use it, yeah. It can happen. To reduce the risks, yeah, you can do a lot of security audits, what we do a lot of on 1 inch. For example, the last V5 router was released with like 12 security audits. I guess the foundation paid like $500,000 for 200 lines of code to audit. It's kind of, the people will have to still to trust, but they can verify. Yeah, trust and verify is better than just trust that someone is doing the right job. Yeah?
Great. All right. Well, let's pose that question to Justin Sun, who I think joins us now via Zoom. Justin, can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You are talking to the Grand Ballroom in the Marriott at Philippines Blockchain Week. Welcome.
Yes. It's so nice to meet everyone.
You're joined here with Sergej Kunz from 1 inch. We were just talking about trust. I'm not sure if you heard that at all. I'd love to discuss the issue of trust and the issue of transparency with you. First of all, by just asking if you can clarify for us what's happening with Huobi. You're an advisory board member there, but you have been vague about the specific role that you have. Increasingly, you seem to be its public face. Can you clarify for us here now at Philippines Blockchain Week what the ownership status is of Huobi Global?
Yes, Huobi Global shareholder, the majority shareholder is the fund. I think it's a special fund set by About Capital in Hong Kong. So basically, they are the majority shareholder today. And I was basically one of the member of advisory board of Huobi. So we also have the vice president of Hong Kong Technology University, founder of Valkyrie, co-founder of Huobi. I think 4 people along with me to be the board of the advisory board of Huobi. I think in the future, we are happy to collaborate with more people in the space to join Huobi advisory board to help Huobi further grow a business.
In terms of the About Capital ownership, can we clarify then, do you have a majority stake in that hedge fund and by extension own Huobi?
No, I don't have the majority shareholder of the About Capital.
All right, well, look, we'd love to hear, I think I speak for everybody, what your version of events is on what has been happening in the aftermath of FTX. On November the 10th, you tweeted, further to my announcement to stand behind all Tron token holders on FTX, we're putting together a solution with FTX to initiate a path forward. There has been suggestions that you are still open to the idea of buying FTX assets. I understand that representatives from Tron and Huobi have been in the Bahamas. Can you clarify your stance on that?
Yes, sure, definitely. So basically, right after the fallout of FTX, I think my first reaction is how I can help the industry and how I can help Tron users. So that's why I basically our team and the FTX team come up with a plan to make sure all the FTX, TRX, BTT, JST, Sun holder and HT holders, they can get like 1-to-1 of their token and withdraw out of FTX exchange. We reached agreement, and also we wire the first batch of the token to FTX, and I think they basically release all the funds to the user in FTX. And then I think the second day, we want to see how we can collaborate further. But as everyone know, FTX filed Chapter 11 basically into a bankruptcy restructure. So basically, the ownership and the control of FTX changed like completely, and also FTX website goes down, and basically. Nobody can get access to FTX anymore. So I think this is a pity. Actually, I feel like actually I have some idea to help FTX actually can handle the situation better than they do before. So I also saw like Sam also write some blogs about like he also feels regret like the way he handled basically the fallout of FTX. So, but right now, since it's what it is right now, right? So I think right now we are still keep like active dialogue with FTX team and the Alameda team, see how we can purchase assets from FTX and further to help the industry and resolve this problem.
I'm not sure, Justin, if you heard the conversation that Sergej and I were having at the start, but we were talking about whether people can get past this issue of trust any longer. Sergej's position, predictably, don't trust, verify, very much a DeFi perspective. You're coming at it from both sides of this, though, aren't you? Is there any situation now in which you think centralized exchanges can reasonably expect people to trust them again?
Yes, definitely. I think the fallout of FTX is definitely create basically a crisis for centralized exchange. I think definitely we need to adopt like several measurements to restore the public confidence on centralized exchange. First of all, I think it's the proof of reserve. I think recently several like centralized exchange has released the reserve of their exchange. I think Huobi, Poloniex is definitely a part of it. And also, I saw on the internet, the Ethereum founder Vitalik is also working with Kraken, Binance, I think on basically create a new way for exchange audit. I think once if they publish this kind of the mechanism, Huobi will like to adopt those mechanisms and also further to create, I think the same transparency compared to DeFi, right? So I think one of the reasons we trust the DeFi is because most of the information is transparent to customer. So that's why I think centralized exchange needs to try best to adopt the transparent way as basically the same as decentralized finance to win back the trust of customer. And also, of course, I think the user experience is also very important. So we will continue to work on the best like user experience and offer it to customer.
Yeah, Sergej, let's talk about the user experience, because this should be a huge opportunity for DeFi, shouldn't it, really? In terms of things that are potentially going to hold DeFi back, though, what do you see those as being?
Yeah, I see it's a great opportunity for DeFi space to onboard more people, since they don't trust or trust less, yeah, and people, also new people are thinking about self-custodian wallets and try them out. We have seen a lot of huge sales of Ledger and Trezor, what I've seen on the news. Yeah, and it's more efficient way. It's a more efficient way to yeah, kind of to provide financial services than a centralized exchange. Also, proof of kind of funds in a centralized exchange. I personally cannot verify that's true. They show me a number, I cannot verify this. And who says that maybe, like, of course you can have maybe 1 billion on the exchange, but maybe the exchange owns someone $9 billion, like it happens with FTX. So from our point of view, in the future, there's no way to escape DeFi also for centralized exchanges. You need to change the technology.
DeFi still has some fundamental challenges, doesn't it? I mean, I think just in the last few days, you've just unveiled some new security features at 1inch, haven't you? A new feature to protect users from sandwich attacks. We have seen decentralized exchange hacks this year. There was one in November. In June, Maya had to go offline, didn't it? Because it had lost 113 million, which it claimed that it subsequently got back. So the security is still an issue, isn't it?
It's an issue, again, because of people who are not investing enough energy, enough money into the security itself. So we have seen bridges were hacked and other projects. Also, taxes, yeah, but the problem is they didn't invest enough time for security. And for example, if you look on the Uniswap team, they're doing really great job. They do normally also a lot of security audits like we do. And also they have kind of a community testing period. We are also backbone existing. It's more open infrastructure, yeah, than as kind of centralized exchange. Centralized exchange, they take care all about security as well. But it's you have a lot of attack vectors in a centralized environment. A developer can be hacked. So you do some, as a hacker, so I'm also a security expert, was working for Porsche as a security expert a long time. There are a lot of things what you can do as a hacker. You do social engineering, you look in the garbage of the people who are working for FTX, for example. I don't know how they get the access to the wallets, but I guess it's not that difficult to get access of a developer notebook.
And let's be clear, self-custody brings its own security challenges as well. People have and can be targeted once blockchain addresses are established, right?
Yeah, and the people will be, of course, self-responsible for this. Centralized exchange says, okay, if you come to us, we can recover your access, yeah, for sure. It's possible, but if I have my seed phrase, I can recover it as well if I do it properly, yeah. I can store it somewhere in the bank as well, or maybe some family members, yeah, or maybe also the topic social recovery could be in the future also one of new things what would come maybe next year as well.
And then it brings us back to the issue of user experience, right? Then suddenly it becomes a different experience for people that are maybe looking to do things. Justin, I want to ask you about Huobi and how you're dealing with the issue of custody now. We at Forecast have been talking to people on the custody side, custodians like the Hex Trust, like First Digital, who are demanding a much bigger role in this sector as a result specifically of what we have seen at FTX. Do you sense at Huobi and in the sector in general any sort of move towards custodians becoming a bigger part of this picture?
Yes, definitely. I think Huobi has always become like one of the very important player in Asia for advocate transparency, custodian, and also compliance in our space. So before that, Huobi has around $60 billion of the assets holding our exchange. I think last year when Huobi first exit from China market, we have doing this kind of the customer refund around $30 billion worth of the cryptocurrency and assets back to our customer. We always like advocate for transparency and even self-custodian. Huobi also have a decentralized wallet called iToken, and on Tron network we have a wallet called Tron Link. So this is all self-custodian wallet. So, and also this year, I think right now, Huobi is in talk with Fireblocks and also Cobra in terms of the custodian business. We definitely want to make our institution, clients, and also, of course, individual customer to feel better about current, basically the way exchange holding their assets.
Sergej, you touched on something a second ago about the issue of trust in people. When we look at crypto right now, most people are putting an awful lot of trust in one person in particular, right? And I want to ask both of you this. Let's start with you, Justin. Is CZ now too powerful?
So I know CZ since 2015. I think first of all, for the whole crypto industry, I think CZ has contributed tremendously in the past, I think basically 7 years. I think Binance has become like one of the exchange, right? It's a gateway, like everybody can go to and get access to basically crypto industry. So that's why I think CZ deserves like all the basically all the you will see like power or authorization he has today. Definitely, I think I'm also a big believer for decentralization. I think in terms of like infrastructure support and the services provider, if you really want to win the customer trust to serve the customer, you really need to deliver the better product, right? To for the whole industry, because like everyone will try out like all the product and make their decision on which one they're gonna use. I have seen CZ as a person who always be like dedicated to the customer experience, and I also was one of the earliest person who be the investor of BNB and use Binance basically like every day since day one. So I think this is gonna be a hard work and a challenge for a competitor if they are really try to compete with Binance to create a good services.
We've just got a few minutes left, so actually I just want to pivot, Sergej. I know that you want to talk about regulation as well. That's a real bugbear for you, particularly in the wake of what has happened. Do you feel like DeFi is being unfairly targeted by regulators in the wake of FTX?
So I still have this picture when I have seen Sam sitting in front of U.S. government and saying them.
This is the meme that you tweeted, right?
Yeah. They told them we are regulated by this and this and this entity, but how the hell they regulated them and they lost like $8 billion of US dollars. How the regulation looks like in real for such big persons. Of course, he did a lot of donations of $2 billion and actually of user customer money actually at the end. Yeah, and they speak about to regulate DeFi, and they think like not out of the box. They think still like in this traditional finance manner. Okay, we need to regulate people, but if you remove the people and you have no people, you have just a code. Maybe the regulation should look different. They should maybe rethink the regulation of DeFi and do it in other manner. For example, maybe they can ask for if you want to run something or the project should have, for example, a lot of security audits, specific standards should be implemented. For example, there's no owner, yeah, or maybe a decentralized organization is the owner of a good distribution or something like that. This could be kind of, from our point of view, kind of a regulation, what we potentially need in DeFi, but not more, because they are actually not people to regulate. For example, in my case, I'm co-founder of One Inch Network. If I wouldn't be tomorrow there, it will still work. We have 130 people distributed around the globe, working on a lot of things, building hardware wallet, building a lot of new products, decentralized order books, nice user-friendly front ends. It would still work, yeah. And this I see as a future like what we can see maybe for the DeFi regulation itself. And the centralized exchanges, they from a point of view, they should move in the right direction, the decentralized finances. CZ is also going decentralized finances direction.
Right.
Binance Smart Chain and Trust Wallet, for example, they have non-custodian wallet. Yeah.
And Justin, look, we've just got about 90 seconds left. Can I just get your perspective? The future now, CeFi or DeFi?
DeFi, I think eventually will be DeFi.
Right answer.
Sergej's very happy, and I suspect, based on the poll that we did at the start of this as well, there's probably a lot of people in the audience who are likely to agree with you. Both of you, look, we've just got a minute left. Is there anything you want to add? I mean, for anybody out there that's now looking at 1inch and wondering what's going to happen next?
Yeah, maybe a lot is coming. How you mentioned before, we introduced front-running protection. Justin, something maybe for you, the rabbit hole.
Yes.
I'm waiting for your feedback.
Yes.
Yeah, just to reduce the risk of the users to be not front-run when they exchange on decentralized exchanges. Based of the architecture, you need to accept price slippage, and we just protect the people by sending the transaction directly to the miners. Of course, it's again a little bit about trust, because they trust us if we forward the transactions. But we are there. Everyone knows us, and we cannot steal anything because we don't touch any money, and it cannot be worse than it's right now. Mm-hmm. And then in general, maybe a few words. Like everyone who's working on their own startup, just keep doing. Also in the bear market, this is the right time to build, to innovate, and if you fail, stand up and try it again.
Great. All right, look, we have to leave it there. Justin, thanks so much for your time. Sergej, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergej.
Thanks.
Philippines Blockchain Week. See you next year.